This is Automotive Advertising with your host, Jim Flint.
I'd like to welcome Kori Lott to the show today. Automotive Advertising with Jim Flint. Kori, we're happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
We're in season 2. You were on season 1.
Yes,
You're
I was.
returning, and we're talking about creativity today.
Okay.
And one of the things I wanted to cover with you was some of the basically more difficult aspects of creativity, because creativity seems like such a natural thing.
Sure.
Some people have it, some people don't. You get it or you don't. You're able to deliver and meet the timeline or you
Right.
don't. It can be very, very binary. So one of those things that comes up a lot is compliance.
Oh, yay.
And for a lot of creative people, it's not their favorite piece of the puzzle. So I wanted you to kind of give the listeners out there a little bit of an insight in how to best navigate the
Okay.
compliance waters, not only from, getting the approvals that you need legally, that help protect consumers, but also how you deal with it psychologically and how you prepare for it mentally.
Okay.
Because you got to build it into your creative process. Is
No
that
doubt.
fair?
Yes,
Yeah.
very fair.
So we're going to talk about some tougher creative things here today with you.
Okay. So there's no doubt compliance is,
And but for the listeners, stay tuned. One of the tougher things, I should have mentioned this, is going to be about Google My Business. You're an expert in that, as well as Facebook and Instagram
Yes.
and many, many other things that we do. But I think there's going to be some guidance here, some interesting things with Google My Business that you can certainly help us with. But that'll be later in this episode.
Sure. Sounds good. So compliance. I think it's very helpful to go into any creative project knowing what I don't want to say your limits are, but they are limits. Like you have to comply. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But that doesn't mean that you aren't able to still create what you want to create. There's always ways around things. Now, I don't mean like you're not complying. I mean that you can still tell the story and give the experience that you want to give with still being, within those guidelines. Right,
because right now financial information is really key to a lot of people, right?
Yes.
We want to make sure we disclose financial information correctly. Facebook is making sure they're in lockstep with requirements for that. And we obviously want to be the same way.
Right.
Compliance a lot of times comes back with things like with acceptable credit, right? That's what you have to add to the...
Yes. And those things don't make it difficult because that's just like a text edit. Like you can still create your vision with having those little small changes. But I think because every compliance is different in their own way. So you can't go into it being like, oh, X person said this, so that should mean Y person should follow the same rules. Every person is different. Every compliance is different. So there's some that you can play around with a little bit more than others, and others it's harder.
Cut and dry.
Harder.
No room to maneuver.
Right.
Yeah.
So where it's like you have to have like specific colors, specific fonts, spacing, and it's like, okay, so I can build a black and white, Arial font banner.
The requirements for their logo protection, right? Their brands, and they're in the automotive space, which is where you're working.
Yes,
they are very proud of, protective of these billion-dollar brands.
Right.
And so you get that.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
I think that whenever those things happen, that's where you want to shift your creative thinking from visual to what you're saying on those creative platforms or things that you're making. So the words are more impactful, in my opinion, when those kind of situations come up, where you can't have pops of color and other things that you would normally do to, paint the picture you want to paint. Go about it a different way and still make it work. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, because you're as a creative more in tune typically with the artistic elements of it. But the thing that you do so well is you balance out the scientific side of it.
Sure.
Right. And we talk a lot about the 4 Ps, and one of the big ones is price. Mm-hmm. And so when you put price point messaging into advertising, all of a sudden everybody's aware.
Right.
Compliance is aware. So that is great what you do there. I also wanted to talk to you before we get to more of the details about GMB and Google My Business and some of the things they've been doing to elevate the game in the creative solutions that we've had. I wanted to ask you if you have a favorite creative platform. And I'm going to bail out and say Adobe, right?
Okay.
And if you want to use that one, you certainly can. But do you have one that you lean into or say, man, this is the one that if I were working with or talking to a listener out there, they could use in the automotive advertising space?
Okay. So I think there's different levels to it. So what I use all of the time, just me personally, is I use Canva.
Okay.
So now, traditionally speaking, I would say that that's kind of a more, it's a friendly version of being creative. So I think like Photoshop and Adobe, so all of the Adobe things.
All of
the Adobe. That I think you can be more technical and you can be more, I don't want to say you have to be more experienced to use it, but you do have to know what you're doing to use those platforms. So I think because Canva can give you very similar products to what Adobe can do, sometimes I would go with Canva because you can create so many different things.
Adobe kind of takes care of all. There's a difference between the production requirements for an outdoor billboard, right, which Adobe could meet with all their nuanced shadows and textures, and then what's required even from a pixel standpoint to publish to Facebook.
Right.
It's much less complicated, or even Instagram, which is very much a visual medium.
Right.
Because the information is on our phones, the pixelation is less likely to occur. It can be more condensed.
Right.
So you're looking for efficiency and scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Canva, you can use it for so many different things on like social media levels and other things like that. Quick and easy. You have all the tools you need, and it's just very fun to play around with on Canva.
So the user interface is more appealing to you, and the efficiency it delivers gets you to market faster than if you were trying to deal with every little pixel and every little shadow and every little sun drop and
correct.
No, that's great. That's
Exactly.
That's good guidance for the listeners that are out there and looking to do some of the social media, on their team or with their employees, or even for use with the agencies.
Right.
So let's jump into the Google My Business aspect of what's going out there, and maybe you can give me some examples of what you've done creatively to improve your Google My Business pages for our clients. I know sometimes difficulties are really just masked for opportunity because there are different departments at the dealership. Yes, right? How did you creatively solve for parts, service, sales, and dealer name?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question.
All right.
Do you know?
Interview be in reverse.
Do you know what a model kit car is?
The only kit car I know of is from Knight Rider. Do you remember the car that talked with David Hasselhoff? I'm dating myself.
No, it's okay.
And it had a little red deal at the front. You guys, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, you can Google this and find Kit on Knight Rider.
Okay.
It was the car that talked back in the 90s, I think.
Okay.
Right.
No,
that's not what you were talking about.
That's not what I was talking about. So, not to say, like, I've been watching a lot of automotive like restoration shows lately.
Okay.
So this is where this is coming from.
Car kit.
Yes, a car kit. Sorry, maybe I'm saying it wrong.
No, we're on the same page.
So you know what that is. So you get all those parts together and you can make a really cool car. There's a bunch of different kits, I guess, to it. There was this recent episode, I'm not going to start talking about shows, but that where they got this really basic kit, and everyone was kind of, bashing them on like, oh, well, it's like really simple. Why would you make something like that? You make all these really awesome cars. Why would you make a kit car? And he was like, because I can get my kit and I can make it so much cooler than all these like baseline cars everyone's making with this kit. Yeah. So they're taking it beyond what is expected. So I kind of look at G&B as like the kit, like a car kit. So they give you all these parts and these tools and things like that, but you can still be creative with it and make it something your own and make it go past what people think it can be.
Right, because a lot of people think on Google page one, just get my name up, get me on top of it. But over here on the side is this car kit or kit car, right, with offers and specials.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how you can kind of jazz it up more. So you can do like the bare basics, you link your page to it, put your phone number on there. Like, sure, you can do that, and you'll get your kit, you'll get your car out of it.
Right.
But you can push it more, and you can add.
That's like a commodity, a transportation device, or
right, or you can push it and you can add so all these different offers, promotions. You can link you can try to get more reviews through email acquisition, all those other things. Going back to your original question, though, about what do you do with the different departments. So there was a little hiccup a couple months back where we were trying to figure out how to distinguish the different departments, and like, should we have different listings, what should the name be for each listing, things like that, so there weren't problems within GMB, because
well, it connects to your maps.
It does, exactly. So GMB is an ever-growing thing. Like, there's always things that are happening and changing, so you can't just be like, oh, a couple weeks ago I knew what was going on. Should be the same. It's never the same.
Well, now you can get verified. Have you seen that, the blue check?
Yes.
And I'm telling you, they're going to keep, Google, right, is going to keep adding to this hub of trusted information.
Yeah, right.
So your guidance is valuable. Like, how can you get creative with your Google My Business?
So it's important to, of course, have a different listing per department. So your sales department should have its own listing. Parts department, its own listing. Service department, its own listing. And then within those spaces, that's where you can differentiate. So your service department page can have all the promotions that they have for oil changes, tires, whatever it is that fits your fancy. And so you can post offers on there, and that'll show up directly on your page whenever someone looks up your name. And same thing with the sales listing, is you can post your promotions on there as an offer. You can and be creative with that by the image that you create can tell a story in its own. So I think it's really important to have those items on there, because it makes it easier, I think, for a consumer to navigate these pages by seeing everything that your dealership offers all in one space per department.
And I think that's a very important point, that this is for the consumer.
Yes.
And so Google is very much into relevance for the consumer. And if you forget that, you can get to real bad places quickly. Because let's say we had a fictitious dealership, right? It's Kori Lott Lexus.
Okay.
And when we build out the GMB and we've got it going, and we have our sales operations that are open up from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. And then you get the idea creatively that you want to have Kori Lott Lexus service. Your service drive is open up from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. These are all very realistic hours.
Yes, they are.
And it's realistic. If you want to, I hope that you're at a Lexus store one day, and I'm working for you as the owner of said Lexus store, right? Put that on the vision board and be like, okay, Kori Lott Lexus, here we come. But the point of the story is that what Google does for consumers, when I tell that I am Kori Lott Lexus and my service drive is open at 7 a.m., right, and my sales is open at 9 a.m., when I start Googling things at 7:15, it starts serving up the most relevant information, which is what is open, not what is not open. And so the workaround for that on Kori Lott Lexus service, how did you kind of manage through that for one of our clients?
Okay, so the hours issue. It's been a minute since I worked on that. So I think it was, oh no, I remember, I'm sorry.
Yes, this is impromptu, unscripted, the entire episode.
Sorry. So what we did is each department, we made it to where it said that it was open. Like, the earliest time was listed on each page. So if your earliest time for all of your departments was 7 a.m. that it was open, that's the earliest time it was listed on for all of them. And then the latest time that it was listed for closing, everyone got that same time. So that way it was all within those.
Synchronized.
Yes, exactly.
And then what we also did, because I think one of the great values on Google My Business is you can see not only where you are listed, but you look at where other people are listed and what categories they're in.
Yes.
So one of the recommendations to be creative would be, well, if I know the other 4 Lexus stores in town don't have service listings and I'm the only one, it isn't important for them to know that it's Kori Lott Lexus. It's just important for them to know that it's Lexus service.
Yes.
Right? So you can actually take out your name creatively, right? Maintain visibility in the market that you're in, say Houston, Texas, and then go to market that way so that when anybody looks for any type of Lexus service, your GMB shows up.
Yep. It's a smart play.
Yeah. So I think as things continue to evolve, you definitely want to be evolving with it.
Yes.
There's certainly a lot of creative involved with the different offers. And I mean, is Google trying to be like Facebook and Instagram and all of them combined within the GMB space? Or what's your take on how could clients most effectively leverage that creative capacity?
I don't think they're trying to be exactly like it, because I think there's a browsing aspect and going through time with Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
You don't really do that with GMB. But what you can do is whatever you put on all of your other social media pages, put on your GMB. So respectfully. So so any offers
TikTok
that you're
videos, maybe not.
maybe not yet. Maybe. We'll see what GMB creates down the line.
Yeah.
But
Well, Instagram just created Reels.
Yes.
Right?
They have.
So Google's going to.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But so put whatever promotions you're putting on your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it is that you're doing, and put it on your GMB. So that way it's all synced and it's all consistent. So that way you kind of hit all these different platforms in different markets. So it doesn't matter where someone's at, they're going to see what's going on in your store.
Well, Kori, we're running a little bit long, which is a good sign of a good episode. A great episode, actually, is when the time flies by.
Sure.
We're having fun. Is there anything else you want to share creatively as we go through this particular second season of automotive advertising that would be important for listeners, either clients or other people that are in the marketing space? What are the keys for you creatively that are important?
I would say to just go into anything knowing that things are changing and to be okay with that. So embrace the obstacles that are ahead and know that that's how you're growing as an individual creatively. Because I mean, this year has just been nuts. I mean, that's a really nice way of saying it, to be honest.
Yeah,
so I would say, just be open-minded and know that these little hurdles are going to benefit you down the line.
So one of the things, and you're exceptional at this, is you're very open to feedback. And a lot of times in the creative space, people can be real sensitive to feedback. How did you, or where did you discover that shift in receptivity? Right?
I discovered that it's not someone saying something about me. It's not about you. You are just creating something. It's just your work. You and your whoever's giving you direction should be on the same page.
Right.
So if you're on different pages, that's not a good thing. You need to someone needs to come up, someone needs to go down.
Right.
So there's going to be feedback, and you can't take it as a negative thing. You need to take it as whenever we are on the same page, that's a win. And I get to show your message creatively how I want to. And if you like it, that's great. So I think it's just not taking it personally. It's just your work. And that's their message.
That's a really great way to frame it, is how do I calibrate the creative energy?
Right.
Right. That's what you're talking about. It isn't them telling you bad or good. You're just trying to get alignment.
Right. Exactly.
And when you do that, you're going to make the client and the consumer, theoretically, right, connect in a way that they wouldn't otherwise.
Absolutely.
And that is the power of great creative. So, Kori, thank you for being on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We always enjoy having you back, and look forward to seeing you on a future episode.
Yes. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Automotive Advertising Podcast. If you have any questions for Jim or would like to be a guest on the show, please email podcast@localsearchgroup.com.